Hi friends of baking and pastry, Belgian Baker here, all the way from New Zealand, and we have a beautiful summer. It's so hot outside, but we're gonna make some mirror glaze. Why not? Follow me in my little kitchen. Good to see you all. Here are the ingredients we're gonna use: caster sugar, water, cocoa powder, and I'm using Dutch cocoa powder for this, cream, gelatin, and water to bloom the gelatin. These are the tools that we will use: a stick blender, a scraper, a whisk, a sieve, and a long container. So you see, only basic tools. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is take our gelatin and a small amount of water. I call this the bloom water because we need to bloom our gelatin. So you can use gelatin leaves. I like to use gelatin powder. I find it easy to work with, always does the thing for me. So the water, the bloom water like I call it, is 4 times the amount of my gelatin. So what I'm going to do is put the cold water on top of my gelatin. Here we go. And I'm going to give it a stir just to mix it all together. I don't want any hard lumps staying. There we go. And I'm just going to put that aside. Okay, so not looking at that anymore. Just let it do its thing. Then I'm going to turn on the stove. And I'm going to put it on high. And I'm going to put a pot with the 300 of water on it. I also going to add my caster sugar. And I'm going to bring this to the boil. Okay, so now my sugar syrup is really boiling. So the sugar is combined really well with the water, and it's actually a syrup now. It's not sugar and water. So this is what we want. So now that is happening, I'm gonna add in my cocoa powder. I'm gonna put it in all at once. And I'm gonna keep mixing that. And make sure it's all combined in the syrup. And let it boil really well through. So I don't want any dry cocoa powder in there. Mix it really well. I like to use the Dutch cocoa powder because it has nothing to do with the acidity. It's got that really nice dark color, and it will give that extra dark shine on the mirror glaze. If you use the normal cocoa powder, it will not be as dark. That's the only reason why I do that. So here we go, it's all mixed through. Now it's boiling again, and I'm gonna put my cream in there. So all the cream goes in. Mix it nicely together. And then we're gonna bring that to the boil again. So make sure it's all properly mixed. Okay, so now we're gonna wait till that boils. Okay, now it boils. Just mix it. I need to make sure it's not coming over the top because it's got cream in there now, and cream likes to get out of the bowl when it's get really hot in there. So give it a good mix, keep it under control, and let it boil for a little bit. And here we go. Take it off the stove. Keep mixing it so we get most of the heat out of it. Because we want to add our gelatin in there. But we don't want to add the gelatin while this thing is still boiling, because then it will not do no good to our gelatin. So we're going to keep mixing like this for a while so the biggest heat gets out of it and it can drop back to like 90 degrees, something like that. And that will be still warm enough for our gelatin. So Mix it well. And here we go. This has cooled down a little bit. It's not boiling anymore. So now we're gonna add our gelatin in there. So we chuck the whole gelatin at once. And we're just gonna keep moving the gelatin around till it melts from itself. And just keep mixing like this. So it's like I say, if you want to use gelatin leaves, be my guest. It's the same thing. My recipes are all done with gelatin mass because I like to work with that. Also in the industry, it's something easy to store, and when you need it, I have worked out all the amounts I need, and so that's why I go with that. There we go. So the whole gelatin is now combined in my glaze. So now the mirror glaze is for, let's say, 80% ready. Okay. There we go. Everything is nicely combined. So now we're gonna go to the next step. Okay, next step. This is a bit of a tricky one. So we're gonna take our little sieve and we're gonna take our high recipient and we're gonna pour our mirror glaze through the sieve and our recipient. Okay. Because we don't want any little hard pieces in there. So all the little lumps and little pieces of gelatin that might not have dissolved, we don't want them in there. I'll just grab my scraper. Ooh, my left hand, I'm not used to that. Okay, there we go. And now comes the magic. What we're gonna do now is use the stick blender. You see all these little pieces and pieces? We don't want that in there because we don't want people eating and then having some little hard bits, so that will not be pleasant. So now comes the magic. What we're gonna do now is stick blend our glaze. And we're gonna bring in the stick blender without trying to put in too much air. So it's always good to have a stick blender that is really open on the side. If you have one that is really closed, that will work as well, but you need to be careful when you're gonna immerse it into the glaze. So what you do is holding your glaze a little bit in an angle, and my stick blender as well. And I'm gonna immerse it like this, very gently, to make sure no air is trapped into it. I keep my blender immersed. Because if you come out and in, you're going to bring in some more air. And that's going to create a lot of air bubbles that we don't want in our glaze. Because if you're going to pour your glaze, all these bubbles will create little holes in your finished product. So you don't want that. The stick blending is really necessary. It's going to make your glaze so much more shiny. So I'm going to blend this thing for at least 2 minutes. Maybe 3. You know, I just keep blending and blending. And I can see the glaze will be moving. But I will not go in and out. I will stay in like this. So you can see there is movement in there, but my blender stays immersed. Look at the shine of this thing. Look at that. Done. Mirror glaze finished. Okay, so then the final step is taking some glad wrap, cling film, however you call it, and put it straight on the glaze. Not cover the bowl, but straight on the glaze. And don't worry that it's warm, that's good. So we're just gonna cover the whole glaze straight onto it, like you would do with a ganache, exactly the same thing. So just push it all nicely down there. Make sure you release the air, so there's no air under your cling film. And that it's really nice and flat. There you go. And then close off the sides as well, so you don't want to create some film on there. So it needs to be completely covered. See, like this. Here's a bubble. Get it out. Perfect. Job done. Okay, mirror glaze is done. It's all packed. So what we're gonna do now is let it rest for 24 hours, okay? It's always good to make the mirror glaze in advance and have it resting for at least minimum 12 hours, but I like to let it rest for 24 hours so all the components combine, they cool down together, get to the same temperature, and when we warm it up again for use it, everything will warm up like one mass. You can use it straight away if you want, but it will never give you the same result as if you let it rest. So let it rest before you need it. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this lesson. I hope you're gonna try to make some mirror glaze. And yeah, give it a shot. Keep baking. See you guys.